Welcome to the Domtar Johnsonburg Mill. I'm Greg Linscott, General Manager. At the Johnsonburg Mill, we value all the people that work with us. We are committed to providing a safe workplace for employees, contractors, and visitors. But we need everyone's help and actions to make that happen. While at our mill, you're expected to comply with our work policies and procedures, contractor safe work plan, OSHA regulations, and your own company policies. The video you're about to see outlines these expectations and introduces you to our safety policies. After viewing this video and passing a short written test, you will be certified to work in our mill for a period of 1 year. Please remember this video is only a starting point. Your designated Domtar representative will work with you to assist in the understanding of the hazards specific to your work and will help you comply with our safety policies. Be mindful that it's your responsibility to reach out if any clarification is needed or if you have any questions whatsoever. Many contractors tell us our requirements exceed other work sites that they have been to. Please ensure you fully understand our expectations. Additionally, if you recognize something that we could be doing better and improve workplace safety, please give this feedback to your Domtar designated representative. Finally, your success will be measured by how safely you perform work, and this will be an important part of a decision to invite you back to our mill. We have high expectations regarding the safe completion of work. It is paramount that you have the same high expectations for yourself and the people that work for you, and manage risk accordingly. At Domtar's Johnsonburg Mill, our commitment to safety is based on caring for all who do work on our mill site. Thank you for your attention and making safety a core value in everything that you do.
The Domtar Occupational Health and Safety Policy states that we conduct business in a manner that protects the health and safety of our employees. The Domtar Safety Policy is posted throughout the mill site. It states that we will strive to ensure safe working conditions and work sites. We expect our contractors to also be accountable for managing the safety of their employees by following the policies and expectations detailed to them. The Domtar Johnsonburg Mill is committed to an injury-free workplace, placing safety and environmental responsibility directly on each person working here. Safety is of value at the Johnsonburg Mill, and it's our philosophy that all incidents are preventable. The Johnsonburg Mill strives to be in full compliance with all OSHA, EEOC, ADA standards and guidelines, and with other laws governing our operations. Each contractor working at our location or visitor must comply with certain guidelines and safety rules. The purpose of this video and training class is to give you an overview of our rules and our expectations. It is your responsibility and a condition of employment that you train all of your employees who will be working here. Every conceivable situation cannot be covered in a single video, so it's important that you exercise safe, sound judgment while you're here. If any questions or problems arise, contact the project coordinator overseeing your project. All contract work performed at the Johnsonburg Mill will be done using a safe work plan. Your DDR, or Domtar Designated Representative, also known as your contact person, is responsible for preparing a safe work plan prior to you performing work at the mill. The Safe Work Plan outlines mill-specific information you will need to know so you can perform your work in a safe manner in line with mill safety policies and expectations. Items typically contained in the Safe Work Plan include fall protection expectations, lockout and hot work expectations, evacuation routes, potential chemicals in the immediate work area, and the corresponding material safety data sheets, as well as personal protective equipment requirements and confined space entry procedures if necessary. The Domtar Designated Representative will review this information with contractor supervision, and it is the expectation that contractor supervision review the information combined in their Safe Work Plan with all of their employees and any subcontractors brought into the Johnsonburg Mill. This sharing of safety information will be documented by a sign-off sheet contained in the Safe Work Plan. Any questions concerning information contained in a Safe Work Plan should be directed to your Domtar Designated Representative. Only company vehicles with contractor tools will be allowed in the mill site. All contractors or visitors must park where instructed and enter through designated gates only. Our speed limit is 5 miles per hour. Your vehicle should never block fire hydrants, the roadway, and entrance to any building or loading dock. The use of cameras or camera phones is prohibited unless approved by your Domtar contact and the mill manager. Restroom facilities for contractors are provided by porta potties located throughout the mill. No smoking areas should be noted. Smoking is not allowed inside any buildings. If there is any doubt about smoking in an area, contact your Domtar coordinator. Contractor and visitors should make note of the location of phones in the work area. In the event of emergency or injury, call the Elk County Dispatch and state your location and a brief description of the emergency. The Elk County Fire and Ambulance Dispatch can be reached by dialing 9911 from mill extensions or 911 from outside phones. The mill has an emergency response team, ERT, that is activated by dialing the mill extension number 777 or 965-6777 from an outside phone. ERT numbers are notified when paged by the Powerhouse Control Room and will provide assistance until outside emergency services arrive. Contractors are expected, however, to provide adequate first aid equipment for their employees. All accidents must be reported to your supervisor and to your Domtar contact immediately. They will complete the proper forms and advise Domtar management. The incident will be investigated and, if required, corrections will be made to prevent similar incidents from reoccurring. Should we have to evacuate the mill while you are on site, you'll be advised by the mill siren system. The chemical release of the mill siren for an accident affecting the Johnsonburg Borough is tested each Tuesday at noon. The siren to some of the mill emergency response team is also tested each Tuesday at noon. If an evacuation is needed, all employees and contractors are to report to their designated evacuation assembly points. For evacuation assembly points, please refer to the instructions contained in the visitor's brochure provided as a handout. This pamphlet should remain in your possession during your time in the mill. Each of your employees must become familiar with the location of use of eye wash and safety showers in their area. It is your responsibility to keep your employees aware of our safety rules and requirements and to verify they understand them. A pre-job safety meeting must be held before starting each job. Any possible hazards of that job should be fully explained during the pre-job safety meeting. All contractors are subject to site inspections and audits of their shop areas and workstations. Work areas must be kept clean and orderly. Make sure that stairways are kept clear of tools, equipment, or other obstructions. It is the responsibility of all contractors to keep their work areas clean both during a job and after completion of a job. Contamination in the paper stock system is a serious problem for the mill. All scrap materials, especially plastic and tape, or any trash, should be removed by the contractor each day and properly stored or deposited in the scrap metal or trash containers provided for this purpose. Rope carts should be used for clean paper only. Personal protective equipment required at the Johnsonburg Mill includes hard hats, safety glasses with hard side shields, ANSI-approved safety shoes, gloves designed for the type of work that you're doing, and hearing protection will be worn at all times. Safety glasses with hard side shields and steel-toed shoes must be worn at all times. Contractors working in the woodyard area must wear reflective vests. Our mill policy requires that emergency escape respirators are to be carried on your person at all times when working anywhere in the pulp and power department, including the woodyard, fiber line, chlorine dioxide building, and all operational buildings in the power and recovery department, including the effluent treatment plant. To use an escape respirator, follow these simple instructions. After removing the escape respirator from the bag, place the nose clip on your nose by unraveling the cord and pinching the clip. Insert the respirator into your mouth and bite down on the bite plate. Remember that all breathing must be done through your mouth in order for the respirator to be effective. Do this in the process of evacuating the area and heading to your designated evacuation meeting point. Remember that this respirator is for escape only and should never be used to perform work in a hazardous atmosphere. Hearing protection is required inside all operating areas of the mill, including shutdown days. These are noted by posted signs. Certain jobs will require additional safety equipment, such as chemical goggles, respirators, and safety harnesses. The contractor supervisor must advise the crews when they are required. Work dress should be appropriate for work without loose sleeves or shirt tails. Vendors and contractors with hair of a style or length that could become entangled in mechanical devices must adopt a method of preventing such entanglement. This includes facial hair extending over 4 inches past the chin, where there's a similar chance of entanglement. Note, the mill defines long hair as being hair that is shoulder length or longer. Methods of preventing injury due to hair entanglement include, but are not limited to, hair nets, hair pins, barrettes, caps, hats, etc. Loose ponytails are not acceptable. Mechanical devices include, but are not limited to, rotating shafts, pulleys, belts, machines, pumps, motors, and rollers. Dangling earrings and exposed necklaces are not to be worn while climbing or working around rotating equipment or performing electrical work. In all areas of the mill, rings must be removed. If a ring cannot be removed, the ring may be taped over to reduce the possibility of injury caused by snagging the ring on material equipment. Safety harnesses must be used in situations where employees are working above 4 feet. Any scaffolding erected must conform to OSHA safety and health standards. Before erecting scaffolding, all contracted workers must view the scaffolding video. Ladders should be inspected prior to each use. Any deficient ladders should be removed from service and repaired or destroyed. Take the time to plan ahead so the proper ladder is used for each task. When possible, all ladders should be tied off when being used. If the ladder cannot be tied off, it's required that another employee hold the ladder while the first employee climbs up. Caution or barricade tape is available and should be used when employees are working overhead in open trenches or when performing other hazardous operations. Caution tape is yellow, and workers should look before entering the area. Danger tape is red, and no one should enter that area that is barricaded with red tape or chain. Both colors of barrier tape must be tagged with the contact information of the person barricading the area, as well as the reason for the barricaded area. Contractor employees must fully comply with the Hazard Communication or the Right to Know OSHA standard. Each contractor must have a written hazard communication program and copies of safety data sheets for any hazardous chemical used on site. Before bringing a chemical product on site, present a copy of the safety data sheet to your project coordinator for approval. The drum or container must have proper labeling as required by the Hazard Communication Standard and be removed at the end of the job. The Johnsonburg Mill has a safety data sheet for all chemicals. These can be accessed through any computer station in the mill through an electronic safety data sheet management system called Dolphin. Hard copies of all safety data sheet information are available at the No. 1 Paper Machine Dry-In Conference Room. You are encouraged to refer to these should you have any questions. Note the following chemicals which are common to our mill: felt wash, biocide, sulfuric acid, hydrogen sulfide, white liquor, black liquor, and green liquor. It should be noted that only water should be used to wash these substances from the skin or eyes. All of our storage tanks and containers are labeled or tagged, noting the contents, hazards, and required personal protective equipment. The Johnsonburg Mill pulping process contains a chemical called chlorine dioxide, which is managed under OSHA's Process Safety Management Standard. Our written program, including drawings and training records, is on file in the Fiberline department. Additional training is necessary should you need to work on these stations. When working on any equipment or system cannot be conducted safely while the source of power is energized, that source must be locked out. This applies to electrical, pneumatic, steam, hydraulic, or any other source. The mill's breaking into the process procedure is used to ensure that all stored energy is released when performing maintenance of process lines, pumps, and tank systems. Every worker must have an individual lock and tag with their name, company name, and date on each source of energy. They must also have the key in their possession. Contractors will follow our group lock procedures, which calls for a multiple lock hasp to be used to allow another employee to lock out at the same location. Never fill the last hole on a multiple lockout hasp. You should add another hasp at the last hole. Should you need to find the location of a power source, the contractor supervisor and/or a Domtar employee will assist you. Contractors working at the Johnsonburg Mill will follow the group lockout procedure. A lockout list will be placed on the front of the lockout to indicate all electrical outlets, closed valves, installed blanks, and piping disconnects. Each employee must also have a tag identifying the contractor, name of employee, date, and work being performed on all locks that have been installed. It is your responsibility to furnish your employees with locks, keys, and tags. You're responsible for the prompt removal of the locks when work is completed. Lockout procedures are a vital part of your job responsibility. Failure to do so will result in disciplinary actions, which may include removal from the mill site. The Johnsonburg Mill contains several permit-required confined spaces like tanks, pulpers, and pits. Many times workers are required to enter confined spaces to perform work. Prior to entry of a vessel, the vessel is shut down properly, locked out, and prepared for entry by our personnel. A detailed checklist, called a confined space entry permit, must be posted at the entry point. Additionally, a green OK sticker will be attached to the permit at the confined space entrance. The sticker indicates that mill personnel have sniffed the vessel for hydrogen sulfide, flammable gases, and oxygen levels, and if it is safe to enter. It is your responsibility to verify that the permit green OK sniff label and locks are all in place prior to entry of the vessel. The green OK sticker must have the current date. Also, if conditions in the vessel change or the space has been unoccupied for 30 minutes or longer, contact the project coordinator and request another sniff test to be performed. No vessel can be entered without proper locking and tagging. A qualified hole watch or attendant must be stationed at the manhole of the vessel being entered. They should be familiar with the type of chemicals in the vessel and any other associated hazards. Hole watcher should also be instructed never to leave the confined space entrance nor leave employees unattended for any reason unless they must call for help. They must also know the location of the nearest phone and have knowledge of how to obtain help. It is your responsibility to furnish the hole watcher. Low voltage lights and ground fault interrupters for electrical tools must be used when working in confined spaces. Contractors must obtain a hot work permit before any cutting, welding, or grinding. Hot work permits will be furnished by the engineer or the coordinator of your project and co-signed by mill operations personnel. Cutting and welding should be performed in the shop area whenever possible. If this is not possible, a hot work permit must be obtained and placed in the area of the cutting or welding equipment. It is your employee's responsibility to use the permit checklist to ensure that the area is prepared properly for cutting or welding, including fire blankets and or welding screens. A fire watch person must be provided as indicated. All electrical power and hand tools must be properly inspected for malfunctions and possible damaged cords or plugs. This inspection occurs prior to each use. Any tools found to have defective cords, including extension cords or defective plugs, will be removed from service immediately. In using extension cords, you must make every effort to keep them out of walkways, stairways, and from laying in water or chemicals. There are fire extinguishers located throughout the mill. Each contractor employee should be familiar with their location and his immediate work area and know how to use them. Mill fire extinguishers are for fire suppression. Contractors should supply fire extinguishers for fire watch. In addition, our mill has sprinkler systems with fire hoses located around the mill. These fire hoses must not be operated except in case of fire. Compressed air should not be used for personal cleanup. The recovery boiler emergency shutdown procedure alarm indicates that conditions exist that could lead to a catastrophic recovery boiler explosion. In the event of an ESP, alarms are activated, including rotated beacon lights and a continuous blaring horn. A verbal announcement will also be made over the public address system. When the alarm is given, you must immediately exit the recovery building using the nearest protected stairwell. Do not use the elevator. After leaving the area, you must report to your assigned evacuation point immediately so that you can be accounted for. Failure to respond to the ESP alarm is grounds for removal from the mill. The ESP alarm system is checked each Tuesday at 12 p.m. and is preceded by an announcement indicating it is only a test. The use of alcohol or illegal drugs is strictly prohibited. Employees taking legitimate drugs should refrain from working if their work performance could be affected, thereby creating a hazardous working condition. It is important to remember that we are concerned about the safety of our employees and the employees of our contractors. Working together, the Johnsonburg Mill and our contractors, we can achieve our goal of an accident-free workplace. Teamwork will make it happen. It is the responsibility of all contractors working at the Johnsonburg Mill to follow operating procedures developed to ensure compliance with environmental regulations. The Johnsonburg Mill uses established environmental operating procedures that are part of the mill's EMS or environmental management system. Critical environmental information related to your job or project should be provided by your mill project coordinator. Prior to starting any job, this information can be obtained from the Environmental Department personnel. Issues to remember while working at the Johnsonburg Mill include, but are not limited to, the following. Chemical products that you as a contractor bring on site to perform a job must be communicated to your mill project coordinator. They will advise if this chemical requires evaluation by the mill's chemical approval process. General maintenance products such as lubricants, petroleum, or paint products are already included as approved chemical products and do not require additional approval. Materials such as solvents, two-part epoxy products, industrial cleaners or corrosives, acids, or caustics are examples of chemical products that must be evaluated for regulatory requirements. Any chemical product that may have environmental regulatory requirements will require that you, as the contractor using the product, supply an MSDS, Material Safety Data Sheet, to the mill contact prior to their use. Contractors are responsible for removing all leftover chemical products related to their project from the mill unless specific arrangements or prior approval has been made. If you generate waste material that may be hazardous as a result of your job, it is the contractor's responsibility to communicate with your mill project coordinator. He will communicate with mill environmental personnel to arrange for proper handling and disposal of the waste materials. You are not permitted to dispose of any waste or materials in the green landfill roll-off boxes without approval from mill personnel. Questions on specific waste handling or disposal policies listed under the mill's EMS program may be directed to mill environmental staff through your project coordinator. Environmental awareness is required of all personnel on site at the Johnsonburg Mill. The mill is located in the center of a community and close to a river. Maintenance activities have the potential to impact the environment and compliance. Examples include dust emissions that may cross property lines, spills to stormwater leading to the river or to the waste treatment plant, and improper disposal of waste. Operating the mill in compliance with environmental regulations is everyone's responsibility. Awareness of potential environmental impacts and quickly communicating issues or questions to your point of contact is a condition of employment at the Johnsonburg Mill. Practice good housekeeping. This should include the neat and orderly storage of chemical products that you'll be using for your job. Consider the following. Use containers that are compatible with the materials being stored in them and make sure that they're kept closed with the lid secured when not in use. Make sure containers are labeled properly and stored in an area with adequate containment to avoid groundwater or river contamination. Properly clean up any small spills that may occur and dispose of the cleanup materials in the appropriate manner. Contractors are allowed to access the mill spill kits. Spill kits are white overpacked drums located around the mill. If you use material from a spill kit, communicate this to your supervisor or project coordinator. Report any observed environmental issues. For example, chemical products outside of contained areas, leaks from storage vessels, ground contamination, or dusting that has the potential to travel off mill property. Your observations and response to environmental incidents can directly impact compliance by allowing for quick action by our operators. Remember, your main responsibility when discovering a spill or other potential environmental issues is to communicate. This means notifying your supervisor or any available mill employee immediately. This allows critical time to respond in the most effective manner possible.